Hello, my name is Daniel, I think. Well, you see, a lot of video games have this thing called armor. It's often a pretty important feature, and it is no different in Kenshi. I often find myself struggling to choose between what looks cool and what is actually most effective. And no doubt, many of you have had this choice before you as well. But regardless, whenever you really get into a game, you'll probably end up putting a lot of thought into the game's armor, and Kenshi is no different. There is a decent amount of armor to choose from on this silly moon. Do you want to be a stealthy ninja who relies on speed and maybe stealth? Maybe a slow, really slow, but durable, heavy armor martial artist? Perhaps you take inspiration from the shrieking bandits and go stark naked to be one with your inner crazy person. These are all choices available to you at mostly any time, but in true Kenshi fashion, they all have their downsides and their benefits. Each has a situation to shine in, leading to the point of this video. Which armor is the best in Kenshi? Which one should you choose over all the others? In a world where you will take as many hits to the face as you will steps in your own shoes on any given day, what outfit will serve you best? Hey, get away from me! Get away from me! Help! Hey! Besides wearing armor, there's also a lot of neat clothing that provides some cool benefits too. But it's often hard to fully justify choosing some clothes over some real armor. Say these armored faceplates. Well, if you're keen to use a crossbow, then the straw hat will grant you a nice +6 perception bonus if you really want to squeeze out some more efficiency for a shooter.
Welcome to the rice fields, motherfucker!
That is, if you're willing to leave your noggin vulnerable. Say if your crossbowman was getting hit in the head with something big while he was trying to shoot someone, you might have wanted to wear something heavy and more protective like a samurai helmet. It would protect your brain superbly. But good luck wielding a crossbow with one on your head. A -22 perception, yikes. But if you get caught in toxic gas clouds, good luck not dying. In that case, you might as well have worn a gas mask in the first place. Everything has a time and a place. So that means we probably want to wear whatever will help us most of the time in most situations. Most of the time you want to be well armored. Armored to the teeth, regardless of its penalties. Let's start off by going over this mess of an armor description box, because there is a lot going in it, but it tells you exactly what the armor does. It took me a while to even confidently look over at this thing, let alone even fully understand it, but it is pretty simple in a way. So, let's go over this, so going forward, you know what the heck any of this armor does when we wear it, and when we look at it. On this mannequin we have here, we have it wearing the beloved armored rags, uncolored, standard grade, as indicated in the blue lettering seen here. This armor is about as middle ground as you can get. It is one of the greatest representations of Kenshi as a whole, in the form of a wearable item. From what it does down to how it looks. Savage and forward, with a faint, gentlemanly undertone even. Anyway, after we get familiar with this chest armor here, you will be able to understand what's good and what's bad about it at a mere glance. This and all of the other armors we look at today. Typically, you want the best grade you can get your hands on. The grade of the armor basically affects how good it is when it protects you from a hit. So there are no sneaky drawbacks like weighing more or anything like that. The higher the grade, the better it will protect you. Below the listed grade here, we can see that it is a medium armor class. This class identifier doesn't necessarily mean anything by itself, but it typically indicates two important things. This armor weighs about a medium amount, and may slow you down a little in more dexterous pursuits like crossbowing or katana. Heavy armor typically limits dexterity weapons particularly, and light armor has them perform at their full capacity generally. So expect to do less cutting damage, and swing a little bit slower and shoot a little bit slower while wearing heavy armor. Looking farther down, we can see the armored rags here are made out of metal plates. Now, that means you can get struck by lightning and get superpowers if you go stand out in the Deadlands. No, I'm kidding, that can't really happen, but it would be pretty funny. That just means you need metal plates to craft this armor. Now further down, we get to the real stats of this piece of armor we have right here. Cut and blunt resistance and cut efficiency. These three here are the most important things to look at when it comes to armor. It dictates how much damage it will spare you from when it blocks a hit by the percentage listed here. How much damage you will take when you fail to block your opponent's strike with your weapon, and your armor is up next from stopping their weapon from gutting you completely out on the battlefield. We can see that we have a 21% blunt resistance. So, in a very simple example, if some monstrosity hits us with 100 pure blunt damage to the chest, it would only actually do 79 damage instead of the full 100. So, armor matters a lot. It really is that straightforward, but consider that most blunt weapons will still do some amount of cutting damage to you as well, since most weapons in this game have their damage split between two types, with one usually being much higher than the other, depending on your tool of assault. Cutting resistance, however, is a little different and ties in with that third stat, and they often work together. Cutting resistance and cut efficiency is a little tricky to explain without pulling up a whole Excel sheet. So, cutting damage hurts targets very badly and causes bleeding damage if they hit past armor. That's kind of its whole gimmick. They're very deadly. But if cutting damage is blocked by some decent armor, it basically gets negated a little more on top of that, and some of it is then turned into stun damage instead, by getting filtered by cutting efficiency. Most important to note, this stun damage will hit you instantly and does not get a chance to be protected by other layers of armor you happen to be wearing, and acts as chip damage, meaning even in heavy armor with high cutting resistance and efficiency, you can get weathered down over time by cutting weapons, even in heavy armor, since stun damage pretty much has to get healed in bed to regain that lost health, because stun damage is really annoying for a player to deal with. So, I would think about it like this. If you got hit with something sharp, like Nippon steel, but the armor blocked it, you wouldn't necessarily get cut. Not as bad anyway, but you would still feel the blunt impact of getting hit by something. But this isn't blunt damage, it's like stun damage, right? So instead of just taking little to no cutting damage and getting off scot-free with something you can bandage and heal somewhat fast, you instead take stun damage from the force of the swing, which is why you might notice in a fight against, say, United City Samurai, you may see stun damage accumulating despite being hit with, well, cutting weapons, which heals slowly and will whittle you down over the course of a long fight, even in heavy armor. Also, as an important note, stun damage, you can see what stun damage looks like. It is when the bar actually goes like gray. when it is fully like stripped away, I guess, it kind of turns gray. That would be an indicator that you are taking stun damage, and that is the stuff that takes the longest to heal. Next up is Harpoon resistance, and Harpoon resistance is uber straightforward. We can see that we have a Harpoon resistance of 31 points. Now, despite being called Harpoon resistance, it affects more than just the mounted harpoon guns that are often seen on walls, that we can put on our own walls or have used against us on enemy walls. Harpoon resistance affects all ranged attacks, including crossbows. So, if we got shot in the chest with like a toothpick crossbow that did like 20 damage, if we were wearing the armored rags here, we wouldn't actually take any damage. Since we can deflect up to 31 points of crossbow damage, it doesn't hurt us. It's pretty neat. This is why a lot of weaker crossbows can deal literally 0 damage in the hands of weaker shooters, just like those used in the hands of dust bandits. If we got shot by like 50 damage in the chest, however, it would only do 19 cutting damage to us instead, thanks to the armored rags here. This is why crossbows are so damn dangerous. If used in like a large amount, they can cause a lot of bleeding over the course of many good hits. Weight, value, sell value, yeah, you know what all that is. It's pretty self-explanatory. The only thing I would be wary of is weight. The amount of encumbrance your character has will slow you down in combat, so keep an eye on it when you're wearing armor and picking up a lot of stuff. Coverage, the second most important part of armor to look at. It is the chance your armor does anything for you when stricken in a spot that it protects. The chance your opponent has to strike utterly straight into you and onto your flesh, and with full damage. This is how limbs often get severed, and is how lives are often lost in Kenshi. When you fail to block a swing from your opponent, and your armor leaves you naked before the storm. Looking at the armored rags here, we can see the percentage of coverage it offers. We have a 90% coverage on the chest, 20% on the stomach, and 80% on each arm. Now that isn't necessarily all bad, not considering the stomach anyway. Side tangent here. Did you know that all body parts have a different chance to be hit? This is also greatly dependent on the race. So, for example, a hiver has a really low chance to be hit in the stomach, but a much higher chance to be hit in the chest, because those numbers don't just go away, they get taken from the stomach to the chest, leading to more hits to the chest. This is why they're always getting hit there, because they are, and never in the stomach. It's also the same for skeletons, which makes sense, since hivers and skeletons have smaller stomachs than humans in Shek. The chest has the highest chance to get hit in general for everyone, and the right arm has the lowest. Okay, remember earlier when I said we would only take 79 damage if we got hit in the chest from 100 blunt damage, pure blunt damage, in these armored rags? Well, before that, with coverage in mind, there is only a 10% chance that we will eat the 100 damage each time we are hit there, because we have a 90% chance to block it in the first place. So, with that logic, arms only have a 20% chance to take full damage on hit when we get smacked in the arms, and the stomach has an 80% chance to take full damage when we get stricken there. And with that, well, that's pretty much what all the armor offers us in protection. To generalize this, up here is how good it protects us, and in the middle over here is the odds that it actually does anything when we're hit in the listed spot. You want all of these numbers to be high, basically. So, what about this stuff down here? Oh, that down there? These are the effects, the consequences of donning this armor. You carry them with you for as long as the armor is still on your body. As we can see, this armor doesn't make it necessarily easy to shoot a crossbow. So, our damage, reload time, and accuracy is lowered from these two stats right here, more or less. Combat speed effect is at 0.98. So, like, well, with, this is basically a whole nother video to explain. Basically, well, not basically, it's like, fuck, bear with me here. It goes like this. This means it slows you down. Like in the same way when you're slightly encumbered or when your arm gets hit in combat, or you're not necessarily strong enough to wield the weapon you're trying to kill someone with. It's like, but it's more like an overall limiter, so like, that we'll get more into it later when we look at the Assassin's Rags. Dexterity effect. Just like the crossbow, this is a negative effect on your actual skill, the dexterity skill. So, with this, you will end up doing less cutting damage. This dexterity penalty will affect all weapon speeds as well, which kinda sucks too, but it's on the skill itself. In a way, you can outlevel this penalty, unlike the combat speed effect, or negate it with robotic means, unlike combat speed, which is the same penalty, but on another cap altogether, but they both slow you down basically because you're wearing some real armor here and not just clothes. Then we can see we have a -5 defense bonus. I always forget about that, huh? And then we have a goofy martial arts bonus. This pairs well with the armored rag skirt, which also has another bonus for martial arts too, that they both stack together. This necessarily isn't the worst armor for an inspiring karate man, but it may slow him down a little bit. And since we're talking about the skirt here and effects, let's go over one last thing. Athletic effect, we can see it's a 0.92. This quite literally just makes you run slower, which makes sense. Have you ever tried to run in a skirt? It's literally impossible. Or so I've been told. Looking at this run bonus, if we take someone out here for a run in the skirt, we can see that it is just slightly slowing us down here. But if we have room in our inventory to say, take off this skirt, as soon as we take it off, we can notice we start running a little bit faster. So do with that information what you will. Wait, Daniel, what happens if my armor has like more armor under it? Does that do anything? So if we took yet another 100 pure blunt damage to the chest, and the armored rags here took the 79 damage reduction from it like before, everything but the stun damage then goes through and is then applied to, say, chainmail if we were wearing it under the armored rags, and it is then filtered just like the armored rags to our character. So, attacks with multiple layers filters through all of the layers going from outer to inner basically. But there is yet another layer to protect you. A final reduction to consider, if you will. You are born with it. You carry it everywhere you go, tempering it always. Your metal, your dang old warrior spirit. How tough you are. The toughness stat. Now, I know this is an armor video, but to make you aware of the single most important stat, the single most important thing to level up in the entirety of Kenshi, that is the toughness stat, since it ties directly with how well you are protected, and therefore, I guess it is in a way armor. Toughness will reduce the damage you take further, so keep that in mind. But also keep in mind, if your toughness is below 50, you will take extra damage. Like, without high toughness, you take extra damage, which is pretty annoying, but it levels up quick, so, I mean, it's not the worst thing. So, toughness, the higher the level, the less damage you take on top of the armor, assuming it's past level 50, but unlike armor, it will always protect you, no matter what is thrown at you. They can take away your armor, they can take away your chainmail, they can take away your weapon, but they can never take away your flesh, your skin, your... Oh shit, yeah. Oh wait, they can take away your skin. In the peeler machine, oh yeah, crap, that's right. They can literally take away your skin and your flesh in a way. That's not good. That's, yeah, well, I mean, Yeah, so I'm gonna be straight with you. I'm not gonna necessarily sit here and rank every single armor piece and clothing like I did the weapons in the ranking weapons video. That's why I didn't name this video ranking every armor or ranking and testing armor. I just really wanted to talk about armor because honestly, I think going into detail is a lot more useful to listen to and watch than just kind of, I don't know, watching someone get hit in different armors over and over again and watching that the numbers are obviously different because some armor is better than the other armor. But anyway, I don't want to spoil anything right now, but I'm going to, and I kind of spoiled it earlier. Specialist, or even better yet, masterwork grade samurai armor is all you need. Everything else literally doesn't matter. It's like the heavy weapons. You cannot outperform samurai armor in the same way that you cannot fight against heavy weapons. Unless you are in such a rare situation that it might as well not even exist in the base game unless you like go through hoops to fabricate it. Now, a lot of things go into armor and weapons in this game, but being an armor video, we'll still focus on that. Two things typically put the player above the in-game enemies you may find or you may create for yourself. Most of the time, the quality of your found or smithed or maybe stolen weapons or armor will be at least a few grades or even leagues above your enemies. It is unheard of that most of your enemies will have anything above high grade gear. Even standard grade gear. Most of the guys out there aren't wearing anything better than standard grade. Most of the military and main forces in this game that you should worry about is literally only ever wearing standard grade gear at absolute best. And newsflash, standard grade gear actually kind of sucks. For the majority of the bandit factions out there, they're literally wearing something even in worse quality. And if it's not worse quality, it's a worse piece of armor in general. Like, look at this, right? I literally ran Lean Bean out here. And out of all these military dudes out here, the fighting in Bass, all these military dudes, this is what they're wearing. Like, shoddy grade chest armor, pants 2 on this one, shoddy grade, the standard here on this one piece here, shoddy on this guy. Yeah, it's like, I mean, most of these dudes are literally walking around in scrap metal, and that's like being generous. You can buy, steal, or even better, craft better quality armor and quite easily give yourself a big edge against all your enemies, even if your combat skills are like pretty lacking. You can actually start making specialist grade samurai armor pretty fast, considering if you know how to work towards it, and you can find a Scorchlander to hire to get smithing for you. So let's look deeper into samurai armor and why it's so freaking good against every other armor out there. Let's compare the specialist grade samurai armor against the mighty crab armor, like the biggest, heaviest armor there is. I will give you 17 seconds to look at these two pieces, these two chest pieces, and tell me why one mogs, PP's on, absolutely clowns on the other. You figure out what makes one so much worse than the other. What makes one so much better than the other? Go ahead. I'm serious. Start thinking. Start looking. What is it? If you answered, because it is literally a whole motherfucking 50% dexterity penalty down there listed in the armor effects under the crab armor, then you are correct. Oh my god, look at it. Look! You cannot make that shit up. It's disgusting. What psych? Who in the right mind? What the hell? What the friggin' heck? The samurai armor has literally no dexterity penalty. None. Zero. The armored rags technically slow you down more than the samurai armor. Yeah, I said it. Crazy shit. Crazy hamburger, huh? But Daniel, Look, the crab armor, it actually has better resistance. It can block more damage. But why are you swinging and blocking twice as slow as I am? Could it be that, I don't know, that maybe your dexterity is literally cut in half? Get that armor out of here right now. Get out. Go. Literally, get on out. I literally said go. Get out of here. Get on. Motherfucking 50% dexterity penalty. You're out of. You have gone insane. Go back to the circus with that shit. Yeah, get on. Keep walking. Hey, listen, you want to know something even crazier? I know you're listening. I know you're watching. Call? I know you're watching this, and I got some more armor facts for you. Did you know that if you're lacking in the Apugus department, a lack of dexterity is the least of your worries? And that goes for everyone out there. Literally look at any armor, and I mean any of the other heavy armors or even a lot of the medium armors. Look at those dexterity penalties on all of them. It's brutal. Samurai armor is exempt from the most debilitating part of wearing actual protective armor, and for it, it is able to outperform anything else on the market because of it. Like, now you know the secret. The word is out. Now, on the samurai armor, the worst part of it is literally the attack penalty. It is the worst part of the armor most of the time, and straight up, guess who still had a worse attack penalty on the armor? Yeah, it was the crab armor. Now, what about pants? Well, naturally, for the samurai armor, we probably want the samurai leg plates too, and well, we do pretty much. It is actually one of the only other heavy leg armors in the game other than the before mentioned crab trousers, which yet again, the samurai pants are actually straight up 100% better in every single way. Like, you can see at a mere glance. So we don't really want to have anything else to do with any other armor other than like the samurai pants. Unless I guess we don't mean business out there on the battlefield and we want to wear something goofy. And we do mean business, so we do want to pick the samurai pants. But maybe we do mean business and we don't want to wear the heavy samurai pants because they make you run slower and they kind of have some slight penalties. If you want to play crazy style like I do and bet that your legs won't get hit that much, well, there are other samurai pants out there. The samurai cloth pants. Nice and light, just like the description says. Despite having full coverage, they have much worse protection, but you can run at full speed, and you don't get slowed down in combat at all, unlike the leg plates. Just a personal suggestion from old Daniel. Now, the only thing left to consider here is maybe wearing a helmet, an undershirt, and putting some shoes on. For the helmet, it's largely whatever you think looks cool, honestly, and if you're willing to gamble on getting hit on the head a lot in the fight. If we want overall protection, there are a few good candidates out there. It's hard to just pick one, honestly. Honestly, the armored hood, in my opinion, with its elemental help and almost full coverage, it is a very nice option, and I think it looks cool as fuck with the samurai armor. The best ones always have an attack debuff though. The hood itself sports a -2 on both stats here, which is pretty annoying, but when paired with the actual samurai helmet, if you were to wear the samurai helmet and the armor together, you are now sporting a whopping -14 attack, which is just a little too much of a debuff in my opinion. Now, if you want pure protection without the debuff, and the elemental boons. I might even suggest wearing the masked helmet here as a fine choice as well, but there's a lot of good ones out there. Now, kind of like with the samurai cloth pants, I do have a personal favorite. My favorite is the armored face plates. When paired with the samurai armor, you gotta admit, look at it. Oh man, you're aura farming with these bad boys combined. And no penalties. And I mean, if they do manage to hit me straight on the head, I hope they do it hard enough. What? Hang on, that can't be right. The crab armor does have a piece that's worth wearing. That's worth a damn. The goofy ass helmet? You mean it doesn't have an attack penalty at all, despite being a heavy armor helmet? Okay, bring it here. Let me try this thing on. I don't believe you. Okay. I can't see shit, but perception doesn't even affect real combat stats, so maybe I can dig it. Maybe. You know what? I think after looking at the both of these two, despite all the shit I've given the rest of the crab armor, but between the crab helmet and the samurai helmet, I'd say the crab helmet wins best heavy armor helmet, straight up. The weather protection is a nice bonus too, along with keeping your brains in your skull. I mean, even some of the lighter helmets still have that negative attack bonus too, so color me impressed. Now, if only I didn't feel like I belonged in a special needs class while wearing this thing, then it would be almost perfect. Now what about the shirt underneath? If your character is able to wear them, that is, it is between two real choices. One of the many chainmails available are the dark leather shirt. Or for the hivers out there, you probably only want to wear one of the hiver chainmail shirts, if you wish to get more protection at the cost of speed, that is. Same with the other chainmail for any humans. Looking at the chainmail, we can see that it does slow our combat speed a little bit more, and it does reduce our dexterity. Our dexterity gets reduced by 15% to be exact, which isn't necessarily ideal, but it isn't as bad as the crab armor, and it's minus 50%. Oh my god. Both of them add up to make a pretty big difference, but for high level characters, this mostly matters later on in a fight, when our character starts to get battered and starts to tire out. The dark shirt is best for blunt damage protection, and it doesn't have any penalties. It actually helps you sneak around, as you can see down here. But if I'm being real with you, most of the dangerous enemies out there want to cut your ass. So despite its penalties, I often find myself running the chainmail most of the time because it can save you from some nasty cuts and a lot of damage that would stack up otherwise without it. What Jordans you got on, pimp? Oh, what shoes you rockin'? They clean? They look good? Oh, these? These? These are some sandals I took off the corpse of some guy I found rotting in the desert. They literally make me attack faster and run faster. My samurai leg plates already give me a wicked protection on my legs, so I always wear sandals to battle. I will not elaborate. The best armor in the game, more or less, depending on your helmet choices and other personal preferences, and maybe the race of your character that limits your choices a little bit, are probably samurai chest plate, samurai plated leggings, most likely, I'm gonna say it, the armored hood, and your favorite color of chainmail, or dark leather shirt, and, you know, my boys, the wooden sandals, for the durability you need. The reliability you must depend on out there in the thick of it. This is my wholehearted recommendation of a loadout. Have fun clowning on everyone, Kenshi Kings. But what about the other stuff? What about all the other armor that might be worth mentioning? What about, say, the assassin rags? Look at all those benefits. Look at all that. That looks pretty cool. You sure it's not better than the samurai armor? Because, what's Lean Bean wearing, Daniel? Wait a minute, he's literally wearing the assassin rags. Are you sure that's not better than the samurai armor? The assassin rags do look pretty cool. Whoa, mama. Look at that. Daniel's been holding out on us. Look at those armor bonuses. Not a single real drawback other than that minus defense penalty. Daniel, what crack are you smoking to tell us that this armor isn't just the best in the game? Okay. Straight up, the armored rags are good, but trust me, they're not as good because they are lacking one critical thing that comes with armor. Actual protection. The bonuses down there are wicked, yeah, real wicked. But what happens when you get hit once, twice, maybe 3 times? That dexterity bonus basically goes back to neutral, so you're not necessarily gaining any dexterity after a few hits, but yeah, you're gonna wish you had armor on past that point, because you might as well have been wearing armor. The coverage on the assassin's rags isn't amazing either, nor is the actual protection itself, but this Kamikaze Blitzkrieg armor does have a place in the battlefield, and if you can properly harness it, you can feel downright untouchable for the first few minutes of even the most nasty fights, while holding a mean edge over everyone in it. But expect to be the most injured after the fight while wearing these. And also keep in mind, this armor will get low level characters killed in a heartbeat. This is only for like, honestly, pretty high level, like really high level with high toughness folks who won't get killed wearing it if the worst starts to happen to them in the battle. You see, where this armor shines is in a duel, against one or maybe a few opponents at a time, with a high dexterity damage weapon like one of the katanas. I want to show you firsthand here what makes samurai armor absolutely bonkers in battle, by doing a little run with it against the assassin's rags. So with our very decent mid-game character here, the assassin's rags bonus affects our dexterity by giving us a bonus 20%. This grants us a flat out 10 extra points of dexterity, making all of our weapons move and block faster, and our cutting weapons especially do more damage like the katana we have equipped here. Along with some wicked attack on top of the rags, the katana and the rags pair pretty nicely since they both help your attack stat. The only catch here is the -8 defense, which comes from the rags themselves and the katana we are wielding. The main things to look at here though is the dexterity stat. When we hover over it, we can see these two guys here, attack speed and block speed. And this is that dexterity in play. And in a simple way, it determines who's hitting who more in combat, who is landing the faster blows, and who can block attacks quicker. If your dexterity is high enough, and these two are at like the max, you can start to land up to 3 attacks in a row on your opponent sometimes before they even have a chance to retaliate. But let's stop talking and go ahead and watch the rags in action here against our dust bandits, the very same ones I used in the weapons testing video. So the fight went really great there in the start, but as it went on, we got whittled down there a little bit by just a few major hits. And now our dexterity is severely lowered by all those injuries we took. It's lowered by a massive 52% just from injuries. And we will probably not win another fight against more dust bandits in our current state. Most of that awesome dexterity literally went down the drain, so since we have all of these injuries, we're not looking too hot. Not good, bro. So if we lock the fuck in and put some samurai armor and some chainmail on and all that, well, let's look at our stats beforehand. Our dexterity is negatively impacted, but mind you, it's only because of the chainmail and not the samurai armor, because we know well that it doesn't affect our dexterity. Between the katana we're using and the samurai armor, we are at a -4 on attack and defense, which isn't the absolute worst. But let's see this samurai armor in action. So yeah, we still bested the bandits, and I'd argue we took some damage, but I'd say we're ready to go another round. Despite having less dexterity overall, we still suffered a lot less major injuries over the fight from all that armor putting in work, saving our ass from so many hits, maintaining much of that dexterity we had in the process. And that's what matters most when you're out in the field, far from a bed to heal in. Maintaining your dexterity and your health between fights. With the vast difference between heavy and light armor, it can be hard choosing the light armor ever, knowing that a fight can turn absolutely south on you because of a few unlucky hits, and maybe leave you dead because of it. But there is some magic in running light armor that you can capture and wield. But it takes a lot of work, a lot of training, and most importantly, some fucked up robotics to reach it viably in the base game, but it is out there and you can harness it. The main benefit of something like the Assassin's Rags is that it does keep you fighting fast even when your body is going to give out with you. Long past when you lose your benefit over your enemy, you still are at neutral at the very least unless you have taken the fattest damage possible, allowing you to hold a speedy edge over your foes for as long as possible. But it's kinda hard to show it here with these guys, since no one here really has in-game stats. But only if I had, like, I don't know, I would need 2 near max level characters, maybe 2 max level characters who have the descriptions of, say, a very fast character and a very strong character, maybe. 2 sides of the scale, so y'all can see what this spectrum looks like in action. You would learn why dexterity is so important, and why armor is also equally important for maintaining your actual health and what dexterity you have at the same time. And you could watch some cool combat as well. But if only I had 2 guys that fit this description. Oh yeah, the heartbreaking fight between Esper and Lean Bean will do just fine, I think. Hello everybody, and please meet the duo themselves, at their prime no less. If you don't know who these guys are, just know that these guys are just some silly goobers that will be showing us what peak performance looks like. So obviously we have Lean Bean here, and as many of you know, I built him as a dexterity lord, and by god that's exactly what he is. He is sporting 2 Masterwork skeleton arms for that mean ass dexterity bonus, 25 each, on top of the Assassin's Rags. Now, if we hover over his dexterity stat right here, we can see that this madman has a 1.20 attack speed and an insane 4 block speed. And these are the actual maximums for these 2 stats here, because if they were able to go any higher, it would be game breaking. Not to say that where they're at isn't already game breaking. Our boy Esper, on the other hand, is a build that many of you veterans are probably well familiar with, no doubt. A strong ass dude with a huge ass sword, the strongest sword in the game actually. The damage with this setup is eye-wateringly ridiculous, and it's not even funny. If we look at Esper's dexterity though, we can see a huge deficit between it and Lean Bean's. But keep in mind, our beautiful boy Esper here is armored to the actual teeth, and can take some mean ass hits for it. Unlike Lean Bean over here, who is about 3 to 4 decent hits to the chest from literally like becoming deceased. 2 of the most absolute extremes. between heavy armored, world-crushing strength and fast as light dexterity. So, who do you think actually wins this fight truly, and just a straight scrap? Well, let's see these two gentlemen have at it, and let them speak the language they know absolutely best. So, Lean Bean steamrolled our boy a few times out there, didn't he? But he did get unlucky once out there, as you saw. But most of the time, it was like Esford didn't even get a chance to attack with the dexterity difference between the two. And that is exactly why it is so damn important to keep that stat high when you can. What an amazing example of what lack of armor can, like, I don't know, get you absolutely booty blasted regardless. Boy, Lean Bean went down in like 3 hits. It is a hilarious scale between I only need to hit you once and I'm not going to give you a chance to hit me. And I think it's amazing to see it in action. But this is where dexterity shines, mind you, in a duel. And Lean Bean is probably about one of the strongest duelists you can make in the base game, other than, like, I don't know, a maxed martial artist. He ain't no 10-fist strong, but by God, he is up there. Oh yeah, that's right. I do have some cool closing information for you guys about armor since, well, this is the armor video and I figured I'd go ahead and throw it in. In the base game, without mods, did you know that you can actually dye quite a few pieces of armor? Well, mostly a few specific ones that actually look cool, but you can dye armor to quite the dazzling and, dare I say, marvelous effect. Take the colored armored rags here now. As the name suggests, you can actually dye them in some pretty cool colors at that. But don't be confused with the normal armored rags. Those you can't throw any color on. Yeah, I know, but here, I'll show you how to dye the armor here with our state-of-the-art dyeing facility. Now, you might be trying to tell me, Daniel, this is a fucking prison. How are you gonna dye armor here? Watch and learn, ye who is uninitiated in the ways of base game Kenshi armor dyeing. If we take a clean, just crafted, colored armored rags and place it in the dye vat here, we will get some pretty cool colors on the armored rags. Isn't that neat? Daniel, did you just put that fucking armor on some guy locked in a cage and have it get a new paint job? Yes, sir, or ma'am, depending, I guess. You bet I did. How does this work, you might ask? And I might say some crazy shit like, people belonging to certain factions or holding certain specific ranks will automatically dye armor that is equipped on them, provided that it's not already dyed. My strong educated guess as to why this is so is that it makes it easier to say for the red sabers to just spawn and have the right color on their armored rags when they pop in. So they will always have their signature rusty red color on whatever they're wearing, and it makes for good consistency. Well, okay, Daniel, I just stole these armored rags from the saber guy. I put him on this grass pirate guy that I captured and put in the cage like you showed, because I want the better red color that he has. But yeah, it's not working. What the fuck is up, you color scammer? It ain't working. You're full of barnacles, and your mother is a woman of many men. Fear not. Fear not. There is a way to dye it if you stole it like some scoundrel. But I hope you're not broke. If you have armor that either belonged to someone and is most likely stolen because of it and has color applied, you need to reset it, or uncolor it if you will. To do this, you need to find a merchant that can afford and buy the armor from you. Sell the armor to the merchant, close the menu so you can't do the buyback, then re-buy it at the higher price, because I guess they scraped all the paint off for you and that's the service you're paying for, and then you can dye it. But keep in mind, a lot of armor can't actually be dyed though, but our armored rags here are probably one of the coolest things you can dye. But I'll let you explore what you can color and what colors you can put on who and what suits you best. Personally, I think the craziest color on armor that I have found personally would be that grass pirate color scheme on a holy chest plate. If you can steal and sell one to remove its color and then put it on a grass pirate, it looks pretty cool. It almost looks like fast food coloring, but I guess if you're going for a McDonald's playthrough, this would be the way. But yeah, that's about all for armor that I have to share with you today. I hope that this was somewhat useful, maybe a little bit entertaining and comprehensive to understand. And I hope that now you have a better grasp on armor and Kenshi. Thank you so much to those who watch my videos here. I feel like I am in a truly blessed position to be able to share this stuff with you guys. And I hope you guys know that even those of you who don't comment or anything, that I truly appreciate the time you choose to spend here. And with time being so valuable, I truly cherish that you guys choose to spend some of it here with me. Oh hey, what are you? Hey, he's back. Hey, he's back. Lean Bean, help me. He's back. He's gonna beat my ass. Help. Help. He's chasing me. He's coming. He's getting closer. Oh my god. It's like he was like slightly faster for some reason. Oh yeah, that's right. If you have nothing equipped, you actually get a 10% bonus to dexterity. I bet you didn't know that. Go ahead and give me my subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.